All right, let's be honest for a second. At some point in your life, probably when you were a kid with a little shovel at the beach, you've wondered, what if I just kept digging? What if I could actually dig all the way to the center of the earth? It's a classic childhood daydream, but it brings up a really serious question. So let's just imagine that digging a hole became humanity's single number one objective. With all of our modern technology, with all of our resources focused on this one goal, how deep could we actually go? Okay, let's dive in and find out, starting right from the surface and working our way down. First up, we're really just scratching the surface here. We're going to explore the first 100 meters or so. And you might be surprised by how familiar some of these depths are. At just 1.8 meters, or about 6 feet down, we hit this standard depth for a grave in most Western cultures. So, if you're ever worried about zombies, this is how far they'd have to climb. Go a little deeper, down to 6 meters, and you've reached the absolute maximum depth that a standard metal detector can still pick up a signal. Any deeper than that, and your buried treasure is probably safe. Now, at 20 meters, we find ourselves in the Paris catacombs. This is an incredible underground labyrinth that holds the remains of over 6 million people. Literally a city of the dead, right underneath the city of light. Okay, double that to 40 meters, and you are at the bottom of the world's deepest swimming pool. Now, to put that in perspective, if you jumped off the top, you would fall for nearly 3 full seconds before hitting the water. That is a long time to think about your cannonball form. And just as we blow past that 100-meter mark, we arrive at 105.5 meters. This is the depth of the world's deepest metro station, way, way down below Kyiv, Ukraine. But believe it or not, this is just the beginning. Let's keep going and see how human engineering takes us even deeper. All right, now we are entering the man-made underworld. This is a realm of truly incredible feats of engineering that tunnel deep into our planet. Down here, it's really a battle of tunnels. You've got the deepest railway tunnel, which connects two Japanese islands, sitting at 240 meters. But nope, cars get to go even deeper. The deepest road tunnel is in Norway, a full 287 meters below the surface. But this one is truly incredible. At 392 meters, we have the Woodingdean Waterwell in the UK. And what's so amazing about it is that this is the deepest hole ever dug completely by hand, all the way back in 1862. It's just a staggering achievement of pure manual labor. At 603 meters, we find the deepest known vertical drop inside a cave. A fall from the top to the bottom would last over 11 seconds. Think about that. That's a longer fall than if you jumped from the very top of the One World Trade Center. What a terrifying thought. Okay, we are now officially breaking through the kilometer barrier and entering a whole new world of natural wonders and human extremes, miles below the surface. And now the scale just gets truly immense. I mean, we've created these man-made chasms like the Bingham Canyon Mine, which is nearly a kilometer deep, but nature still totally dwarfs our efforts, carving out the Grand Canyon to 1,800 meters deep and plunging to almost 2,200 meters in the world's deepest cave. To really, and I mean really, wrap your head around this kind of scale, consider the Moab Hutsong mine shaft in South Africa. It's over 3,100 meters deep. If you fell from the top, it would take 25 seconds to hit the bottom. That is long enough to get a phone call, answer it, and completely miss the conversation on your way down. But get this, we're not alone down here. At an incredible 3,600 meters, scientists found this tiny species of multicellular worm. This is the deepest complex life has ever been discovered, somehow surviving under absolutely crushing pressures. And yet, humans have gone even deeper. The deepest point any person has been inside a mine is at 4,000 meters, also in South Africa. The journey down takes an entire hour, and the temperature at the bottom reaches a blistering 66 degrees Celsius or 151 degrees Fahrenheit. But even that isn't the limit. Not even close. Now we approach the absolute deepest points humanity has ever reached. The record-breaking boreholes that pushed our technology to its absolute breaking point. You know, it is almost hard to believe, but our ambition to dig on land has taken us deeper than the deepest parts of the ocean. Yeah, that's right. We have actually managed to dig down significantly further than the bottom of the Marianas Trench. And that brings us to the legend itself, the Kola Super Deep Borehole. This was a monumental project by the Soviet Union to try and drill straight through the Earth's crust, And they reached a staggering 12,262 meters. That is over 12 kilometers straight down. So why did they stop? I mean, you'd think they just keep going, right? Well, the Earth fought back. At that depth, the temperature hit 180 degrees Celsius. That's about 356 degrees Fahrenheit. It was simply too hot for the drill to operate. The equipment was literally cooking itself. But believe it or not, that record has recently been broken. The current champion for the deepest hole humanity has ever created is the Z44 Chavoyo oil and gas well. It punched down to a mind-boggling 12,376 meters. That's the same depth as stacking 15 Burj Khalifas on top of each other. Just incredible. So we've hit this record depth of nearly 12.4 kilometers. But what does that number truly mean in the grand scheme of things? For our planet. Let's put it all into perspective. A look at this. Our deepest hole is an incredible 12.4 kilometers. It's a stunning achievement. But the Earth's crust, just the thin outer layer, can be up to 70 kilometers thick. And the distance to the center of the planet, well, that's over 6,300 kilometers. On the grand scale of the Earth, our greatest digging achievement is just a tiny, insignificant scratch. We've managed to conquer 12.4 kilometers of rock and intense heat. So the question that's left is, what will it take? What kind of technology, what kind of human ambition will it take to conquer the next 6,350 kilometers? Now that is something to think about.